Commander Theron insulted the primitive humans in his alien tongue, unaware that Markus Griffin understood every word. Markus, a linguistic prodigy, had secretly mastered the alien language, giving humanity an edge in this tense first contact. As he looked around the briefing room at the grim faces of General Masterson and other world leaders, Markus knew the stakes were high. The aliens demanded Earth's surrender, threatening invasion and conquest if refused. Markus felt the pressure mounting as the fate of humanity rested on his ability to bridge the linguistic gap and open a path to negotiation. In perfect gamelan, Markus began to speak, revealing humanity's secret weapon and showcasing human ingenuity. General Masterson briefed Markus on the aliens' arrival and their advanced technology, which posed a significant threat to Earth's defenses. Markus immediately requested access to Commander Theron's speech recordings to decipher their communication. Hours passed as Markus immersed himself in the alien language, drawing on his linguistic studies and recognizing similarities to ancient languages. The world leaders exchanged hopeful glances as Markus made progress, working tirelessly to decipher the alien communication. Meanwhile, on the Gaiman mothership, Commander Theron grew impatient with Earth's lack of response. He ordered an energy beam to be directed towards Earth's surface as a consequence of defying the Gilan Empire. The explosion hit an uninhabited island in the Pacific Ocean, obliterating it in a blinding burst of light. Satellites captured the destruction, sending the footage to the UN briefing room, eliciting a collective gasp from world leaders. The undeniable power of the Gonk's devastation spurred General Masterson to urge swift action. Markus intensified his efforts to decipher the Gaiman language, aware that lives depended on it. As Markus made steady progress, piecing together the language, time grew short, and the Gaiman's patience wore thin. Driven by the urgency, Markus worked tirelessly, realizing the complexity of the gamelan language extended beyond mere sounds. He barely slept, fueled by adrenaline and the weight of responsibility. After intense days of work, Markus had a breakthrough. Bursting into the briefing room, he excitedly explained the nuances of the gamelan language, illustrating with video clips. He proposed a strategy to convey strength while respecting Gaiman culture, garnering cautious optimism from the world leaders. Following a discussion, they agreed to Markus's plan. He meticulously crafted a message, practicing its delivery to perfection, mimicking Theron's mannerisms and intonation as best he could. When the message was prepared, Markus faced the video camera, his heart racing. He spoke in the harsh guttural language of the Galans, conveying Earth's strength and resolve to defend itself while acknowledging the Gaiman's power. The transmission was sent to the Gaiman mothership, and a tense silence fell over the briefing room as everyone awaited a response. Minutes dragged on, each one feeling like an eternity. Just as the tension peaked, the screen flickered to life, revealing Commander Theron's face. Though still fierce, there was a subtle shift in his demeanor as he acknowledged Markus's communication. "Human," Theron growled, his voice tinged with surprise and respect. "You have managed to speak our language. This is unexpected." He paused, studying Markus intensely. "Perhaps there is more to you humans than meets the eye." Markus maintained his composure, a glimmer of hope rising within him as Theron agreed to a meeting with Earth's representatives. However, Theron made it clear that the Gon Empire did not negotiate from a position of weakness. As the screen went blank, the briefing room erupted into a mix of cheers and nervous chatter. General Masterson expressed his gratitude to Markus, recognizing the chance to avoid war and pursue a peaceful solution. Markus knew the upcoming meeting with the Galans would test his linguistic and diplomatic skills, but for now, he allowed himself a moment of relief, knowing humanity had taken a crucial step forward in interstellar relations. As the world leaders discussed the next steps, it became evident that Markus's presence would be crucial in the upcoming meeting with the Gamelons. His unique ability to understand and communicate in their language made him indispensable. General Masterson pulled Markus aside, expressing the urgency of the situation. "Markus, we need you to accompany the Earth delegation to the Gamelan mothership," the general said urgently. "Your linguistic skills will be vital in navigating the negotiations." Markus nodded, feeling a mix of excitement and apprehension. He understood the weight of the responsibility entrusted to him. The fate of Earth rested on the success of this meeting. As the delegation prepared to board the alien vessel, technicians fitted Markus with a concealed earpiece, allowing him to provide real-time translations. The journey to the Gamelan mothership was surreal. The advanced technology of the sleek craft dwarfed the human shuttle, leaving Markus in awe. As they entered the hangar bay, Markus observed the menacing fighter ships and the busy activity of Gamelin soldiers. In the meeting chamber, Markus's attention was immediately drawn to Commander Theron, the imposing Galan leader. Theron's demeanor exuded superiority as he made his demands in his native language. Markus listened intently, quickly realizing the underlying threats in Theron's words. Relaying the translations to the Earth delegation, Markus remained calm despite the gravity of the situation. Armed with the knowledge of Theron's true intentions, the Earth representatives responded with assertiveness, highlighting their own strength. Throughout the negotiations, Markus's linguistic skills and keen observations proved invaluable. He picked up on subtle nuances in Theron's language, revealing deeper motives behind the Gamelin's actions. This information allowed the Earth delegation to adapt their strategy, emphasizing the benefits of peaceful collaboration. The meeting stretched on for hours, with Markus serving as the critical link between the two sides in the delicate dance of diplomacy. After intense discussions and carefully negotiated compromises, the meeting concluded with a temporary truce. The Earth delegation and the Gons agreed to further talks, promising to seek a mutually beneficial solution. As they departed from the mothership, Markus felt a sense of accomplishment. They had taken the first step towards averting catastrophic war, but he knew the real battle had just begun. The negotiations had revealed the Gaiman's true intentions, and Earth needed to be prepared for the challenges ahead. Back on Earth, Markus delved into the study of Gaiman culture, immersing himself in ancient texts and digital archives. Late one night, he stumbled upon a fascinating legend within Gaiman historical records. The tale spoke of a mythical warrior named Zorgan, who united warring factions through displays of strength and wisdom. Inspired, Markus saw a potential avenue for earning the respect of the Gons and negotiating lasting peace between their worlds. Throwing himself into his new mission, Markus trained tirelessly in Gaiman martial arts and studied their customs and etiquette. As tensions in Earth's orbit escalated, with the Gaiman mothership looming ominously, Markus's resolve only strengthened. Reports of skirmishes between Gon scouts and Earth's defense forces heightened the urgency. In a secure video conference, General Masterson expressed the gravity of the situation. The Gons were growing more aggressive, and time was running out. Markus outlined his plan to confront Theron directly, challenging him to a duel according to Gaiman tradition. Despite the risks, Masterson supported Markus's decision, acknowledging that the fate of Earth rested on his shoulders. Markus wasted no time, crafting a message to Theron in perfect Gamelin, each word meticulously chosen. Invoking the name of Zorgan, the legendary warrior, Markus issued his challenge. Speaking into the camera with authority, he declared, "I, Markus of Earth, invoke the sacred right of Canar Talk. I challenge you to a duel of strength and wisdom, as the great Zorgan did in days of old. Let us settle this conflict as true warriors, with honor and respect." With his heart pounding, Markus sent the message, the tension in the UN compound thickening with each passing minute. Finally, a response came. Theron's face filled the screen, his reptilian features betraying surprise and intrigue. "Markus of Earth," Theron growled, his voice rumbling like distant thunder. "You have invoked the name of Zorgan and challenged me to Canar Talk. This is unexpected." Accepting the challenge, Theron warned Markus to prepare himself, as the fate of Earth hung in the balance. As the screen went dark, Markus felt a surge of adrenaline. The die was cast, and the stage set for a showdown that would determine the future of two worlds. Despite the odds, Markus was ready to fight, ready to do whatever it took to save his planet and his people. In the days that followed, Markus trained harder than ever, pushing his body and mind to their limits. He sparred with holographic Gamelin warriors, honing his skills in the alien martial art. As the appointed day drew near, Markus stood before the mirror in his quarters, clad in the traditional armor of a Gamelin warrior. With tenacity etched on his face, he knew he had the strength, knowledge, and willpower to face this challenge head-on. As the day of the duel approached, Markus continued to train tirelessly in the secure UN facility. Sweat poured down his face as he practiced the intricate Gaiman fighting techniques. Interrupting his focus, an elderly Gamelin male entered the room, introducing himself as Zorax, a member of a secret faction within the Gamelin leadership seeking peace with Earth. Impressed by Markus's mastery of their language and dedication to understanding their ways, Zorax offered his support. Markus bowed his head in respect, surprised by the elder's presence. "I am honored, Zorax. But why have you come?" Zorax stepped closer, his gaze intense. "I am here to offer my assistance." Theron is a formidable warrior, and he will not hesitate to exploit any weakness. But I can teach you advanced combat techniques that will give you an edge in battle. Marcus's heart raced at the opportunity. He knew that any advantage could mean the difference between victory and defeat. I am grateful for your offer, Zorax. I accept your training with humility and perseverance. Over the next few days, Zorax put Marcus through a grueling regimen of physical and mental conditioning. They sparred for hours on end, the clang of Gamelin energy swords echoing through the training room. Zorax shared his knowledge of Theron's fighting style, pointing out the commander's strengths and weaknesses. Theron is arrogant, Zorax warned, his voice low. He believes himself to be invincible. Use that against him. Unsettle his mind, and his body will follow. Marcus nodded, committing every piece of advice to memory. He pushed himself harder than ever before, driven by the knowledge that the fate of Earth rested on his shoulders. Finally, the day of the duel arrived. Marcus stood on the neutral planet, clad in traditional Gamelin armor. Across the dusty arena stood Theron, his reptilian features twisted into a sneer. So, the human has come to face me, Theron taunted. You are foolish to think you can defeat me, Marcus of Earth. Your kind is weak and inferior. Marcus remained silent, his gaze locked on Theron. He remembered Zorax's words, knowing that he must not let the commander's taunts unsettle him. With a roar, Theron charged forward, his energy sword slashing through the air. Marcus met him head-on, their blades clashing in a burst of sparks. As the battle raged on, Marcus began to gain the upper hand. He surprised Theron with his mastery of Gamelin fighting techniques, exploiting the weaknesses Zorax had revealed. Theron's face contorted with rage and frustration as he realized that Marcus was outmaneuvering him. In a sudden move, Marcus saw an opening. His energy sword sliced through Theron's defenses, sending the commander's weapon flying from his grasp. Theron stumbled back, his eyes wide with shock. Marcus stood over him, his blade poised at the commander's throat, his voice steady and clear. I yield, Theron, Marcus said, his words resounding across the arena. I offer you a chance for peace, a chance to end this conflict without further bloodshed. Theron's face twisted with humiliation and rage, but as he looked into Marcus's eyes, he saw a strength and honor that he could not deny. Slowly, grudgingly, the Gamelin commander bowed his head. I yield, Theron growled, his voice tight with barely contained anger. You have bested me, Marcus of Earth. I will hear your terms for peace. A collective gasp rippled through the gathered representatives. The impossible had happened. A human had defeated a Gamelin commander in single combat, earning the right to negotiate a truce. As Marcus helped Theron to his feet, he felt a surge of hope. The road ahead would be long and challenging, but with this victory, he had taken the first step towards a lasting peace between their worlds. In the wake of Marcus's stunning victory over Theron, the Gamelin commander begrudgingly agreed to begin peace negotiations with Earth. The two sides met on neutral ground, a small uninhabited planet halfway between Earth and the Gamelin Empire. Marcus and Theron sat across from each other at a simple metal table, their respective delegations flanking them. The atmosphere was tense, but there was a glimmer of hope in the air. Marcus, ever the diplomat, began the talks by acknowledging the strength and pride of the Gamelin people. Commander Theron, he said, his voice steady and respectful. I come to you not as a conqueror, but as an equal. Our peoples have much to learn from each other, and I believe that through open dialogue and mutual understanding, we can forge a lasting peace. Theron leaned back in his chair, his reptilian eyes narrowing. You speak well, Marcus of Earth, he growled. But words are easy. How can I trust that your people will honor any agreement we reach?
Marcus met Theron's gaze unflinchingly.
Trust must be earned, Commander. I propose that we start small with a simple exchange of cultural ambassadors. Let our people learn about each other, and let trust grow from understanding. As the negotiations progressed, Marcus and Theron found themselves drawn into a grudging respect for one another. They traded stories of their respective cultures, their hopes and fears for the future. In time, they began to see each other not as enemies, but as potential allies. However, not everyone was pleased with the progress of the peace talks. In the shadows of the Gamelin mothership, a group of hardline military leaders met in secret, led by General Vorden, a grizzled veteran who saw the peace negotiations as a betrayal of the Gamelin warrior spirit. Theron has gone soft, Vorden snarled, his clawed fists clenched in anger. He has forgotten what it means to be Gamelin. This alliance with the humans is a disgrace. The other officers nodded in agreement, their faces twisted with disgust. "What do you propose, General?" one of them asked, his voice low and conspiratorial. Vorden leaned forward, his eyes glinting with malice. "We must remove Theron and the human," he hissed. "By any means necessary. Once they are gone, we can crush the humans and claim their world for the Gamelin Empire." Back at the Peace Summit, Markus and Theron were deep in discussion about the potential for trade between their worlds. Earth had advanced medical technology that could greatly benefit the Gamelin people, while the Gamelons had access to rare minerals and materials that could revolutionize Earth's industry. "I believe this could be the beginning of a new era of prosperity for both our peoples," Markus said, a smile spreading across his face. "Consider the possibilities of our collaboration as allies rather than adversaries." Theron acknowledged with a slow nod, his expression pensive. "You may have a point, Markus of Earth. Perhaps it's time for the Gamelin Empire to pursue a new direction, one of cooperation instead of conquest." Just as they were on the brink of a breakthrough, the summit chamber was rocked by the sound of explosions. Markus and Theron sprang to their feet, their eyes wide with shock and alarm. "What's happening?" Markus shouted over the chaos, his hand instinctively reaching for his energy sword. Theron's face twisted with rage as he realized the situation. "Vorden!" he snarled, his voice dripping with contempt. "That traitorous dog has staged a coup." The chamber doors burst open, revealing a squad of heavily armed Gamelin soldiers led by General Vorden, his eyes blazing with hatred. "Theron!" Vorden roared, his voice thundering across the room. "You have betrayed our people, our very way of life. I am relieving you of command, and I will deal with this human filth myself." Markus and Theron exchanged a glance, a silent understanding passing between them. They drew their weapons and stood back to back, ready to face the onslaught together. "So much for peace," Markus muttered, a grim smile on his face. Theron chuckled darkly. "Peace is overrated, human. Now, let us show these traitors the true meaning of Gamelin honor." With a roar, the two unlikely allies charged forward, their energy swords flashing in the dim light. They fought side by side, Gamelin and human against the rebels who sought to destroy everything they had worked so hard to build. The battle was fierce and bloody, but Markus and Theron's combined skill and purpose proved too much for the rebels. They cut a swath through the enemy ranks, their movements perfectly synchronized as if they had been fighting together for years. Finally, they stood before General Vorden, his once proud form battered and bleeding. The traitorous general glared at them with hatred, his breath coming in ragged gasps. "You may have won this battle," he spat, his voice thick with venom. "But the war is far from finished. The Gamelin people will never accept this alliance with the humans. You are both traitors to your own kind." Markus stepped forward, his voice calm and steady.
No, General.
"It is you who are the traitor. You would lead your people into a war they cannot win, all for the sake of your own pride and ambition. Commander Theron and I have seen a better way, a path of peace and cooperation, and we will fight to make that vision a reality at any expense." With a final defiant roar, Vorden lunged at Markus, his energy sword flashing in a desperate attack. But Theron intercepted the blow with a swift, precise strike, ending the general's treachery once and for all. As the smoke cleared and the rebels lay defeated, Markus and Theron stood tall, their armor battered but their spirits unbroken. They knew that the road ahead would be difficult, with many challenges and obstacles to overcome, but they also knew that they had forged an unbreakable bond, a friendship that would stand the test of time. Together, they would build a new future, one of peace and prosperity for both their peoples, and they would face whatever challenges lay ahead side by side, as allies and as friends. Markus and Theron stealthily navigated the dimly lit corridors of the Gamelin mothership, their footsteps muffled by the soft hum of the ship's engines. They moved with practiced efficiency, their minds perfectly in sync as they navigated the labyrinthine passageways. Theron raised a clawed hand, motioning for Markus to halt. The Gamelin commander's keen senses had detected the sound of approaching footsteps. They pressed themselves against the wall, melding into the shadows as a patrol of Vorden's elite guards marched past. Once the coast was clear, they resumed their silent advance toward the command center. Markus's heart raced with anticipation, understanding the urgency of their mission. If they failed to halt Vorden's plan, it would spell devastation for both Earth and the Gamelin Empire. As they drew nearer to the command center, The echo of raised voices reverberated through the corridor. Markus and Theron exchanged a glance, confirming their suspicions. Creeping closer, they strained to discern the conversation. "The Emperor will do as I command." Vorden's voice boomed with arrogance. "He will declare war on Earth, and the Gamelin people will rally behind me. With our superior technology and the element of surprise, we will crush the humans and claim their world for ourselves." Markus's blood ran cold at the revelation of Vorden's treachery. He planned to manipulate the Emperor into declaring a war that served only his own ambitions. Theron's eyes narrowed, a low growl emanating from his throat. "We must act quickly," he whispered urgently. "If Vorden succeeds, it will mean the end of everything we have worked for." Nodding in agreement, Markus formulated a plan. "We need to expose Vorden's treachery to the Gamelin people," he said urgently. "If we can broadcast the truth to the entire fleet, we can turn them against him." Theron's eyes widened with understanding. "The communication system," he said, a glimmer of hope in his voice. "If we can hack into it, we can send a message to every ship in the fleet." Markus grinned, a spark of determination igniting in his eyes. "And I know just the message to send." They quickly outlined their plan, each taking on a specific role. Theron would create a diversion to draw Vorden and his guards away, while Markus would hack into the communication system and broadcast the expose. As they prepared to execute their plan, the Gamelin elder emerged from the shadows, holding a data drive containing evidence of Vorden's crimes. "I have gathered evidence of Vorden's crimes," the elder said solemnly. "Use this to show the truth to our people." Markus accepted the data drive with gratitude, thanking the elder for his bravery. With a final nod, the elder retreated into the shadows, his role in the plan complete. Markus and Theron split up, each moving toward their designated targets. Theron headed to the armory to create a distraction, while Markus slipped into the command center to hack into the communication system. In mere moments, he gained access to the fleet-wide broadcast channel, taking a deep breath to steel himself for what lay ahead. "Attention all Gamelin warriors." Markus's voice resonated over the speakers, his tone commanding attention. "This is Markus of Earth, and I bring you a message of grave importance." Pausing for effect, he let his words sink in. "Vorden, the one who claims to be your leader, is a traitor to the Gamelin Empire. He has manipulated and lied to you, exploiting your loyalty and honor for his own selfish gain." With deft taps on the console, Markus uploaded the evidence provided by the elder. Recordings of Vorden's secret meetings and plans filled the screens of every ship in the fleet. "Vorden plans to use the Emperor as a puppet, forcing him to declare war on Earth," Markus continued, his voice brimming with conviction. "He seeks to plunge our worlds into a devastating conflict, all for the sake of his own power and ambition." As the evidence played out, murmurs spread among the Gamelin warriors on the ships, their eyes widening in shock and disbelief. They had trusted Vorden, followed him without question. But now the truth was laid bare before them. "But you, the warriors of the Gamelin Empire, are not mere pawns to be used and discarded," Markus declared, his voice growing stronger. "You are proud and honorable, bound by a code of loyalty and duty. Vorden has betrayed that code, and in doing so, he has betrayed each and every one of you." The murmurs grew louder, voices rising in anger and indignation as the warriors realized they had been deceived, their honor tarnished by Vorden's actions. In the command center, Vorden's face contorted with rage as his plan unraveled before his eyes. He lunged at Markus, but the human was ready, dodging the attack and countering with a swift strike of his own. Amidst the chaos, Markus and Vorden fought fiercely, their eyes locked in a deadly stare. Vorden's once pristine armor now battered and dented, his face twisted with madness and desperation. "You think you've won, human?" Vorden spat, his voice ragged. "You think you can defeat me?" Markus smiled, his resolve unwavering. "I don't think, Vorden. I know." With a final devastating blow, Markus sent Vorden crashing to the floor, the traitor's body still and unmoving. Around them, the battle raged on, but Markus and Theron stood side by side, their spirits unbroken. Against impossible odds, they had exposed Vorden's treachery and prevented a catastrophic war between their worlds. As the dust settled, they knew that the road ahead would be lengthy and challenging, but with the power of their unlikely alliance and the strength of their shared convictions, they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Freed from Vorden's grip, the Emperor stepped forward, his eyes brimming with gratitude and respect. "Markus of Earth, Theron of the Gamelin Empire," His voice resonated across the command center. You have shown us the true meaning of honor and loyalty. You have saved us from ourselves, and for that, we owe you a debt that can never be repaid. Markus and Theron bowed their heads humbly, deeply moved by the Emperor's words. They understood that this was just the beginning, but it was a beginning filled with hope and promise. As they gazed out across the stars, the endless expanse of the universe before them, they knew they had taken the first step towards a new era of peace and understanding. An era where humans and Gonds would stand together, united in their pursuit of a brighter future for all. Back to back, Markus and Baran stood, their energy swords humming, surrounded by Vorden's elite guards who circled them like predators stalking prey. The command center had become a battlefield, the once pristine consoles and screens now scarred by blaster fire and sparking with damaged circuitry. Vorden's laugh cut through the chaos, a cruel and grating sound echoing through the chamber. "You fools!" he spat, his eyes gleaming with madness. "You think you can defeat me? I have already won." Markus clenched his teeth, his grip tightening on his sword. "It's over, Vorden," he said, his voice steady despite the chaos. "Your treachery has been exposed. The Gaiman people will never follow you." Vorden sneered, his features twisted with rage. "The Gamelin people are weak," he snarled. "They need a strong leader, someone who will lead them to glory and conquest." Theron growled in response, his reptilian features contorted with anger. "You are no leader, Vorden. You are a traitor and a coward." With a manic edge to his words, Vorden's voice rose above the din. "You have no idea what you're up against," he cried, his sword locked with Markus's. "I have seen the truth, the real power behind the scenes." Markus felt a sense of unease creeping up his spine. "What are you talking about?" he demanded. Vorden's laugh sent a chill down Markus's spine. "The Gonds, the humans, all the races of the galaxy," Vorden explained, his voice filled with perverse pride. "We are merely pawns in a much larger game. There is a force out there, a race so ancient and powerful that they make the Gamelin Empire look like children playing at war. They have been manipulating us for centuries, pulling the strings from the shadows." Markus's blood ran cold as he absorbed the implications of Vorden's words. "Why are you telling me this?" he asked, his voice trembling. Vorden grinned, a twisted, maniacal expression on his face. "Because I have allied myself with them," he declared, his voice filled with a perverse pride. "They have promised me power beyond my wildest dreams, the chance to rule not just the Gamelin Empire, but the entire galaxy." In a fury, Theron roared, his sword slicing through the air and decapitating one of the elite guards. "You would betray your own people, sell us out to these manipulators." Vorden shrugged, a casual gesture that belied the gravity of his words. "The Gamelin Empire is just a means to an end," he said. "With my new allies, I will become a god." Markus and Theron exchanged a glance, a silent communication passing between them. They knew they had to end this here and now before Vorden's madness could spread any further. With a burst of speed, they launched themselves at the rogue general, their swords flashing in a deadly dance. Vorden fought back with the strength of a cornered animal, his blade a blur of motion as he parried and struck. But Markus and Theron's combined skill and persistence proved too much. They pressed their advantage, driving Vorden back, their swords finding gaps in his defense and scoring hits on his armor. As the battle reached its climax, Vorden stumbled, his sword arm severed at the elbow by a precise strike from Markus's blade. The rogue general fell to his knees, his face a mask of shock and pain. Markus stood over him, his sword poised for the killing blow. But before he could strike, Vorden's other hand shot out, his fingers closing around a small device on his belt. "You may have defeated me," Vorden hissed, his voice filled with venom, "but my masters will avenge me. They will come for you and for all the races of the galaxy." With a final defiant laugh, Vorden activated the device, and a pulse of energy burst from it, a signal that raced out into the depths of space, carrying a message of distress and summons. Markus and Theron could only watch in horror as the device flared and then went dead, its purpose fulfilled. They had won the battle, but they knew that the war was far from over. As the last of the elite guards fell and the command center grew still, Markus and Theron turned to each other, their faces grim. "We have to find out more about this mysterious race," Markus said, his mind already racing with possibilities. "If Vorden was telling the truth, then the galaxy is in even greater danger than we realized." Theron nodded, his expression thoughtful. "We will need allies," he said, Other races and factions who can help us uncover the truth and fight against this threat. Markus's eyes glinted with perseverance. Then let's get to work, he said, his voice filled with a newfound sense of purpose. We have a galaxy to save. In the wake of Vorden's stunning revelation and the activation of the mysterious distress signal, Markus and Theron knew they had no time to waste. The galaxy was in grave danger, and they were the only ones who could unravel the web of deceit that threatened to engulf everything they held dear. With a newfound sense of urgency, Markus and Theron set out on a perilous journey to gather allies and uncover the secrets of the enigmatic race known as the voidbringers. They traveled to distant worlds, each more bizarre and treacherous than the last, seeking out those who might stand with them against the coming darkness. On the planet Xanthus, a world of perpetual twilight and eerie bioluminescent forests, they encountered the Xerion, a race of winged humanoids with a deep connection to the mystical energies that permeated the universe. Markus's adeptness in the lyrical language of the Xerions enabled him to navigate the intricate social hierarchy, forging a tentative alliance with the Xerion elders. The Voidbringers have long been a whispered legend among our people, remarked the eldest Zephyrin, her voice hauntingly melodic. A force of pure chaos consuming all in their path. If what you say is true, then we cannot stand idly by. As they journeyed on, Markus and Theron confronted numerous challenges, from the savage warbands of the Karnak wastes to the mind-bending illusions of the phantasmal nebula. Each trial tested their perseverance and strengthened their bond, shaping them into a formidable team capable of facing even the darkest of threats. Piece by piece, they assembled a coalition of the willing, a diverse group of warriors, scholars, and outcasts united by a common cause. Markus's linguistic prowess proved invaluable in bridging the gaps between disparate cultures and ideologies, finding common ground where none seemed to exist. However, as their alliance grew, so did the scope of the Voidbringers' machinations. Ancient ruins and forgotten archives revealed a chilling truth. The Voidbringers had been manipulating galactic events for millennia, orchestrating conflicts to harvest chaos energy for their dark purposes. They feed on discord and strife, Theron solemnly declared, his voice heavy with the weight of centuries. Every war, every act of violence only makes them stronger. We must find a way to break the cycle, to starve them of their sustenance. It was then that they uncovered the prophecy, a fragmentary text foretelling of a human-Gaiman alliance that would bring balance to the galaxy and defeat the Voidbringers. The words offered a beacon of hope but also served as a grim warning of the sacrifices that would be required. 2 worlds, 2 warriors bound by fate, Markus read, his voice trembling with a mix of excitement and trepidation. Only together can they hope to stand against the coming darkness. But the price will be high. As the final pieces of the puzzle fell into place, Markus and Theron knew that the time had come to confront the Voidbringers on their own turf. Gathering their allies, a motley fleet of starships and warriors from a dozen worlds, they set course for the heart of the Voidbringer domain. The journey was harrowing, a nightmare of twisted space and mind-bending horrors. Reality itself seemed to warp and distort as they drew closer to their destination. But at last, they arrived at the Voidbringers' homeworld, a blasted hellscape of jagged obsidian spires and pulsing veins of sickly purple energy. The air was thick with the stench of decay, and the crackle of barely contained chaos filled the atmosphere. As the battle commenced, Markus and Theron fought side by side, their movements perfectly synchronized as they carved through the Voidbringer horde. Yet, despite their strength and courage, the Voidbringers proved too powerful. Their numbers seemed endless, and for every foe that fell, 2 more rose to take its place. The alliance began to falter, their lines buckling under the relentless onslaught. In a moment of urgent clarity, Markus and Theron shared a glance, a silent understanding passing between them. They comprehended what needed to be done, the sacrifice foretold by the prophecy. Together, they fought their way to the heart of the Voidbringer lines, confronting the towering monstrosity that could only be their leader. The creature, a horror beyond imagining, was a writhing mass of tentacles and gnashing maws, its mere presence capable of driving lesser minds to madness. However, Markus and Theron remained resolute, drawing upon the depths of their bond and the power of their combined will. With a roar of defiance, they unleashed a devastating attack, a fusion of human ingenuity and Gaiman might that tore through the Voidbringer leader's defenses and struck at its core. The creature howled in agony as its form began to unravel, deprived of the chaos energy that sustained it. But the victory came at a terrible cost. Theron staggered, a gaping wound in his side leaking viscous green blood. Falling to his knees, He struggled to hold onto life as Markus rushed to his side, cradling his friend's head in his lap. Tears streamed down Markus's face as he realized the magnitude of Theron's sacrifice, the price paid for their victory. "Go," Theron whispered with a rattling hiss, his voice fading. "Finish it. Don't let my death be in vain." Markus nodded, his heart breaking as he steeled himself for what needed to be done. Rising to his feet, he charged forward, his blade flashing in the sickly light. With a final cry of rage and sorrow, he pierced the heart of the abomination, causing it to convulse and dissolve into a maelstrom of chaotic energy. As the Voidbringer leader fell, the rest of its kind began to wither and die, their power broken by the loss of their master. The Alliance stood victorious, but the cost had been high. Theron lay still and silent, his life given in defense of the galaxy he had sworn to protect. In the aftermath of the battle, Markus knelt beside his fallen friend, grief and loss weighing heavily on his heart. Around him, the survivors of the Alliance gathered, their faces etched with sorrow and exhaustion. He was a true warrior, a hero to the end. One of the Girons said, her voice a mournful song. Markus nodded, unable to speak, knowing that Theron's sacrifice would never be forgotten. Even in his grief, Markus understood that there was still work to be done. The galaxy may have been freed from the Voidbringers, but the scars of their machinations ran deep. It would require time and effort to mend the wounds, to unite the disparate races and factions in a new era of peace and cooperation. As the Alliance embarked on the arduous process of rebuilding, Markus returned to Earth as a hero, greeted with parades and accolades. However, he was no longer the same man. He was haunted by the weight of Theron's death and the horrors he had witnessed. In the years that followed, Markus devoted himself to the cause of unity, working tirelessly to promote understanding and cooperation between humans and aliens alike. He assumed roles as a diplomat and negotiator, serving as a bridge between worlds. Leveraging his unique talents, he brought people together in the face of adversity. Though the galaxy would never be unchanged, Markus held on to hope. He understood that as long as there were individuals willing to stand against the darkness and fight for what was right, there would always be a chance for a better tomorrow. The story concludes with Markus, now a seasoned diplomat, standing on the bridge of a sleek starship, ready to embark on a new mission to a distant corner of the galaxy. His eyes reflect a quiet determination, a commitment forged through the trials and sacrifices he has endured. Aware of the vastness and wonders of the universe, Markus is prepared to confront whatever challenges lie ahead, fortified by the knowledge that even in the darkest of times, there remains the potential for light to shine through. Thank you for joining us on this journey. If you enjoyed the story and wish to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel. Additionally, for every comment that says 88, I will heart each one of them. Thank you for your time. If you appreciated the story and wish to show your support, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to our channel. Additionally, for each comment containing 88, I will heart every single one. Thank you for your time.